Welcome to the Mind of a Coach podcast. We are your hosts, Coach Nathan Moran and Coach Asa Duvall. How are you doing, brother?
I'm good, Nate. I'm good, man. I'm happy to be here. Might look a little bleary-eyed at the moment. Tuesdays and Thursdays tend to be a couple of my longer days, but I'm here now, and I'm ready to have a good time.
Oh, yeah. You're looking good, man.
Thank
Looking good. Clean mic, man. It's going. It's going. And I see you got the Asa Duvall poster in the background.
Yeah. The jersey that unfortunately really didn't get worn that much. Definitely didn't sweat a lot in it, but it's back there. Probably really hadn't even been washed, but it's back there.
Oh, goodness. I sure hope it's been washed. You sweat too much for it not to be washed.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I didn't play enough to really sweat that much in it, so.
Asa, you're sweating while thinking right now. Awesome, man. So for the viewers out there, we wanted to create this podcast to start a sophisticated conversation between coaches of all ages, of all backgrounds, because we're trying to reach basketball minds in all aspects of the game. So we want to be able to help you. We also want you guys to be able to help us as well. And it's going to be a fun process between this. So anyway,
it'll be a lot of fun, man.
Yeah. You excited?
Yeah, man, especially just being able to just even bounce off different ideas between you and I, having room with you for 4 years and you being in the same profession now. You started a little before I did, but it's cool, man. And so I think we'll be able to learn a lot from each other. Hopefully we'll be able to talk to some people while doing it. But just being able to talk and have those conversations, try to learn something new from everybody. I feel like if you're not learning something, you're probably doing it wrong, and you can really always learn something from anybody. So hopefully we can provide that here.
That's wise words, man. And I really want to get back into asking you about how your career started. But first, I want to get into the historical fact of the week, our first segment on this Mind of a Coach podcast. Hey, so what's our historical fact of the week?
Historical fact of the week, right? Well, today, as we're recording this, it is Latrell Sprewell's birthday. I'm not sure if you ever had those Dada spinners, but I certainly had a couple pair when I was younger. So shout out to Latrell Sprewell on his birthday for providing us with some amazing shoes that always seem to break. And then also Yao Ming's birthday is coming up later this week. So that's our historical fact for the week.
That's a good fact right there. So
just celebrate a couple birthdays. That's what we're just celebrating over here. Celebrating some birthdays.
Absolutely. Hey, so question. Mm-hmm. You said not Latrell Sprewell. You said Yao Ming. You got the Rockets playing. And although we're not here to talk about the NBA too much, but who you got? You got your boy?
I got my boy. I'm not gonna go into detail, but I got the king. So
okay.
We'll see how it all unfolds.
Okay. That might be your weekly positivity too, huh? Which is our next segment. Which is weekly positivity. So Asa, give me something that has been positive in your life that has happened in this past week. We have so much negativity going on that we would really like to shine light on the positives. So Asa, what you got?
Yeah, it seems like I'm gonna kind of take this out of myself, but it seems like that there's a lot of things happening that in terms of this coronavirus and the pandemic, it seems like things are kind of turning in a direction where it looks like we may be able to have a season. Not sure exactly what it will look like, but I know that there's been a lot of teams who have had some success when it comes to testing. They've had a lot of negative tests. I know the NCAA, they've been having some meetings talking about maybe taking advantage of that time in between Thanksgiving and the start of the second semester to try to squeeze in as many games as possible. I believe they're voting on something on the official start date coming up soon. And I believe that date as of right now is like November 25th is when they're looking to start.
Really? And so will that be practices or games?
Well, I think games as far as I know right now.
Okay.
So if we can just, make it through these next month and a half, 2 months to November 25th without things going completely awry, I think we'll be looking all right. So that's just positive. I do think things are turning in the right direction. So, we'll see. Season could happen. It might not. Things could change any day. So just got to take it one day at a time.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome, especially with everything going on and how uncertain everything's been. Mm-hmm. It's nice to see that there might be some light at the end of the tunnel. And I think
what about you? My fault. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good. You're good. So our guys got back in the weight room this week, and we're going to be getting them on the court next week, which is exciting because it's just been a long process, especially in Division II basketball. And so it'll be exciting to have those guys back on the floor, and like just getting that news, just it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, like, I mean, players are already antsy, but they don't even realize how us coaches feel.
Oh my
Like,
God.
what do
No.
we even do with ourselves? It's like we're coaches. We want to be able to be on the floor with you guys, and
Mhm.
all of a sudden we're all of a sudden just desk workers. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's part of it. That's part of coaching, but
Mhm.
we really get to enjoy the part of being on the floor. So like that being taken away from us has been tough. So
Mhm.
getting to be back on the floor,
Yeah.
that's my forward thinking weekly positivity.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, when we got to get back on the floor with our guys, it felt normal for the first time. And, since March, since everything shut down in March,
Yeah.
and just be able to get back on the floor with them. Yeah, it's been good. It's been really good. So, yeah, I'm just, like I said, taking it one day at a time. So we'll see what happens.
Good, man. Well, I don't know if the viewers are ready for this, Asa,
Mm-hmm.
but the first podcast, we're going to learn a little bit more about you.
Whew.
Is that cool with you?
That's fine with me, man. That's fine with me. I'm here. Let's do it.
All right. So for people that don't know, Asa and I were roommates for 4 years when we played at Lipscomb University. And through that time, we became best friends. He was in my wedding. Thank you, Asa, for showing up, being a great
You're
friend.
welcome, man. Thank you.
Um, and thank you for everything else you've done in my life. But
You as well.
anyways, so growing up, we're going to go way back before the Lipscomb days.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to turn on to your basketball career and
Mm-hmm.
how it all started. So you grew up in Brentwood, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yep. So tell me what it was like growing up in Brentwood and then how your basketball career started within, like, I guess from whenever you started to, I guess, high school or college or whatever.
So yeah, growing up in Brentwood, my father introduced me to the game when I was probably 5 or 6. He was my first basketball coach. We went out to the
Yeah.
driveway. I asked, everybody wants, when you're 5 or 6, you want your dad to be your coach. Not so much when you get a little older, but
Oh no.
but when you're 5 or 6, you definitely want your dad to be your coach. And my dad said,
Mhm.
all right. He said, all right, okay, so I'll be your coach, but you have to show me that you can do a left-handed layup before I'll be your coach. So we went, I said, okay. And I'm like little 5 or 6-year-old me. We go out to the driveway, spend a whole afternoon, and I'm trying to figure out how to do a left-handed layup, how to do it. I'm doing it. I'm missing it. I can't get my right foot and my left hand. I mean, I was everywhere. So finally I kept doing it, kept working on it. And I finally made a left-handed layup, and I could do it consistently after a day or so. And then my dad became my coach for that year. So that's really kind of how I got introduced to the game, excuse me.
And you said again, how old were you?
I was 5 or 6. I was young.
Okay.
I was
That's what I
young.
thought I said.
So my dad played basketball at Belmont. He was one that taught me the game. Taught me how to shoot later on. So he's always been there every step of the way. Let's see. So growing up in Brentwood, great place to grow up. A lot of awesome people there. Obviously a more affluent area. So definitely I had some opportunities to be coached by some incredible people, some incredible students of the game who really knew the game and knew how to teach it. And it was a privilege. It really was. I was introduced to people early on, like Brian Collins, who I'm sure we'll get into more, who's head coach at TSU. Guys like Mario Moore, who's a Nashville legend.
So I'm going to interrupt you. I'm going to interrupt you right there because you basically really introduced me to Mario. I knew who Mario was when I was growing up because I watched Vanderbilt basketball and Tennessee basketball, and I would just always watch basketball. But when I met you and all of a sudden you brought Mario, I was like, what the heck? It's Mario Moore.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I want you to tell me a little bit about meeting Mario and how that relationship developed and how it blossomed throughout the years.
Yeah, it's funny because all of my friends were, either a Tennessee fan, a Vandy fan, a Kentucky fan. I grew up a Belmont fan. I didn't, yeah. So I wasn't
Hey,
really,
just keep that easy. Where'd you graduate from?
I know with this jersey behind me. I know we can get into that later too. So Mario played at Vanderbilt. I grew up a Belmont fan. I met Mario actually at Penny's camp, his first ever camp in the summer of '07, I believe. And Mario was playing a little bit overseas at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I did well at the camp. I was going into 7th grade, And me and Mario just kind of built a relationship at the camp. He saw some potential in me. And I got to talking with him, and he was like, man, I'd love to train you. I'd love to get in the gym with you. And honestly, that was one of the best things that ever happened to me. And it was because of Penny holding a camp like that. That's how I got, that's how I was able to get in touch with Mario and build a relationship with him and learn from him. And it really was, man. He's an incredible mentor. He's an incredible student of the game. The way he sees the game, the way he can break it down and explain it to you is second to none. And so I was just really fortunate to be able to learn from him. And it was a lot of stuff even off the court too, just the mentality, the way you face adversity that guys like not just Mario, but guys like Penny as well that are able to prepare you mentally for the things that come on and off the court. So that was honestly, that was a huge thing for me because I certainly would not be where I'm at today without him or Penny and a few other guys like that.
That's awesome, man. Well said. Just from knowing Mario in the short, brief time that I have, just how impactful he's been on me and just how wise he is. He's a wise man. And I could tell that obviously you've been lucky enough to have him in your life for a while. So that's awesome, man. So not moving on, but kind of like in the middle of that. So you said you were introduced to Mario in middle school, correct?
Yes, sir.
So you went to Sunset Middle School.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So tell me about your transition from middle school to high school and what it looked like when you were playing basketball.
So middle school, I was a decent player. Obviously, Sunset Middle School was in Williamson County school system. It's a public school. After middle school, my family and I decided that I was going to go to Brentwood Academy. And let's see, get to Brentwood Academy as a freshman, playing pretty well. I started a few games, but ended up being the sixth man for most of the year, and I was fine with that. Luckily, I kind of understood my role on most teams I was on, and was willing to accept that and do whatever I could to help the team win. So I have a great freshman year at Brentwood Academy. Probably got a little complacent after my freshman year, and didn't have as great of a sophomore year. So after my sophomore year, I decided to switch schools and change and go to Brentwood High School. So I played my junior and senior year there. Let's rewind a little bit. Once I got to Brentwood, I wasn't sure that I was necessarily going to be eligible to play. And so a few weeks into school, it was official that I was not going to be able to play. And
really?
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that part.
Yeah, there were some rules in place. So all right, cool. I can't play. And at that point, I had two ways I could have gone about it. I could have thrown in the towel and said, well, I can't play anyway. I might as well not work. I can sit this one out, kind of relax, take my time. Or I could approach the season as if I was going to play. I could keep working my tail off and just prepare myself for whenever my moment came. And by the grace of God, after our first game, the athletic director at Brentwood High School actually showed up at my house one day, and he said, "Hey, I just want to let you know that you're going to be able to play this year."
What?
And so, man,
he showed up at your house?
Showed up at my house and had like a letter from the TSSAA, and yeah. So I was eligible from then on, and had I not prepared the way I did and gone through preseason workouts and pickup sessions that we had and the weightlifting and the conditioning, I wouldn't have been ready for when that time came. I didn't know it was going to come at that time, but I wouldn't have been ready. And I'm thankful that I was, and I handled it the way I did. So go on that year. We have a great year. Jack Montague was our point guard, ended up playing at Yale. He incredible high school point guard, had a really good college career as well. We lost in the sub-state game that year. And so going into our senior year, we had a chip on our shoulder. We felt that we had worked hard enough and not deserved to be there, but we had kind of earned the right to be there, and we feel like we came up short. So going into senior year, we all had that chip on our shoulder, continued to work, lifted harder, worked harder, ran harder, played harder.
That's awesome.
And senior year at Brentwood was awesome, man. It was awesome. We ended up making the state tournament for the first time in school history. That was awesome to be a part of. And then ended up losing to Southwind in the semifinals of the state tournament that year. one of the main reasons it was so great. One, I had great teammates, and two, a guy named Coach King. If you haven't heard of him and you're from the state of Tennessee, then you might have been living under a rock, because Coach King is a living legend.
Now, Asa, I'm not going to let you get too far ahead now. We're going to talk about Coach King, but you kind of skipped over one important moment in that state tournament game.
What was that?
So before you played Southwind, who'd you play?
We played Blackman.
Okay, so
Blackman High School
what was the score at halftime? Walk me through that game, because I've seen in the papers that there's this Asa Duvall like aura going around Brentwood High School around this time. So you got to walk me through it. So what happened during this game, and why might I be mentioning your name right now?
All right, so we we played Blackman High School. First of all, Darius Thompson, who was an incredible player, ended up going to Tennessee, Virginia, and then finished at Western Kentucky. He's playing overseas right now. I played AAU with him the summer prior to that season. And we played Blackman. They had a loaded team. They had Juwan Jennings, who ended up playing football at Tennessee. They had a guy named Justin Coleman, who's ended up playing overseas. A couple other just freak athletes. They were a great basketball team. So we played them in December, and they absolutely smacked us. I mean, they beat the brakes off of us by 33 points. That was our second loss of the season at that point. And so then we season goes on, we make it to the state tournament. And in Tennessee, the way they do the state tournament is they basically draw out of a hat. And when it came our turn, we drew Blackman. And so initially,
that was exciting.
So initially, I'm not going to lie, I was kind of like, dang, we got them again?
I bet. Like, we just got beat by 33. I'm not trying to play them again.
Yeah. And so we draw Blackman. It's like a Saturday morning. Then we get a text from Coach King about 20 minutes later. So we got Blackman, 10 a.m. on Wednesday morning. Let's get ready for practice, period. And he ends with, "We're going to shock the world," in all caps. And from that moment on, we were all like, oh, wow, we might be able to do this. Like, that just got us all riled up. We were ready to go. If Coach King said we were going to shock the world, then damn it, we were going to shock the world.
That's funny.
So going to the game, 10 a.m. Wednesday morning, middle of school week, weird game, right? Weird time to play as a high schooler.
Yeah, I mean, really, you never played another game besides maybe on Christmas break or Thanksgiving break or anything like that.
Exactly. Down 18 at halftime, getting killed. We couldn't shoot well from three. And I remember Coach King at halftime, he looks at us, man, and he goes, for you seniors out there, if this is how you go down, this is how I'm going to remember you. It won't be making it here. It won't be any other of the great wins we've had this season. This is how I'm going to remember you. And it was like just the most
what?
Not humiliating, but just humbling thing. Like, oh my gosh, we can't go out like this. We cannot go out like this.
And see, I got to interrupt you for a second, because it's so interesting to hear how different coaches reach different players.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I know we're not going to get into like the really ins and outs of it during this podcast, and we're just going to really, I mean, what this is we're going over your story, but how that right there was what he needed to say to the group of guys in your locker room, and you included, to get you guys going. Absolutely. But anyway, I don't know if you guys won or lost yet, so I'm gonna let you tell that.
Look, that type of stuff was normal from Coach King. A couple weeks earlier, we were in the district tournament, losing at halftime. The district tournament, not playing well, and Coach King said, if y'all lose, he goes, if y'all lose this game, I'm gonna make somebody quit next practice.
What?
During the district tournament, Nathan. During the district tournament, he was trying to make somebody quit.
That's amazing.
Crazy, but I love him. He was crazy, but I love him. And
yeah.
Anyway, so that's the kind of coaching style he had. So come out second half, back to the game. Come out second half, and making a little comeback, making some headway. We're knocking down a few more shots. Tie the game up with about 8-10 seconds left. Call a timeout. We think they're going to go man. They've been man all game. They come out in like a 1-3-1 zone. James McPherson, sophomore point guard at the time, he notices it. We had a play drawn up. James just takes it, dribbles down in the middle. I'm kind of in the corner, a little bit above the corner. James made a great play, hit me on the corner, on the wing. I shoot it, and it went in. We go up 3. But people don't really realize is that Darius Thompson had a great look with about 3. He had a dribble or 2 with about 3 seconds left, a heave from half court, and it almost went in. Almost went in.
Really?
Yeah. So that's what people don't really remember.
Well, they don't need. It didn't
There
go
was.
in.
But there was a pretty important shot there towards the end made by some old washed up scrub now. So, but it was exciting, man. It was one of the funnest things I've ever been a part of. It was a complete team effort, and it's definitely something I'll never forget. It was special.
That's amazing, man. I mean, it was the talk of the whole county for a while.
It was pretty cool, the reactions that I heard and that I got from people. It was pretty cool.
I mean, it's funny because like even the guys over at BGA were pumped up that Brentwood had made it. And obviously I had friends at Brentwood at the time, Jack Batista, Jacob Adcock, Andy Shepard. But
they were humongous for us that year and that game.
Yeah, and it's just funny because I was like, I never knew I would cheer for Brentwood so much. And then all of a sudden, Asa Duvall's hitting a shot. I was like, I was just playing against him at Brentwood Academy. Little did I know that I was going to be his roommate for 4 years, and he was going to be one of my best friends.
That's true, man.
So anyway, I told you that we were going to talk a little bit about Coach King. So I would love to hear your experience with Coach King, what he's meant to you, and all of that.
Coach King is like one of the not kidding. He's one of the top 3 most interesting men in the world, men in the world that I've ever met. He's from Pittsburgh, moved down here because he was a songwriter, of all things. If you look at him, he looks like a mad scientist.
That's the nickname.
The mad scientist, the Tasmanian devil. I mean, he's got it all. I can't wait for him to hear this. Hopefully he listens. Anyway,
Coach King, please listen to the podcast. Asa really wants you to listen.
But
I do as well.
So, all right, where was I at? Yeah. So, moves down to Nashville, songwriter. He was a boxer. He won like a Gold Glove or something. We'd come in at practice on a Sunday evening. We had practice 6 days a week, the whole time. So every Sunday evening we walk in about 6 o'clock. Coach King had one of those punching bags in the locker room. And we walk in there getting ready for practice, and he's in there just drenched in sweat, going to town with this little radio sitting on the side, like from 1975. And he's just
really
cut off, just going to town on this punching bag, just like gearing up for practice, getting ready. So you're like, oh man, we may have a tough one tonight if he's doing that.
I bet that would intimidate me as a little 16, 17-year-old.
Oh my gosh. And, but man, Coach King he is X's and O's. He is out of this world, completely out of this world. He can pick apart a defense in his sleep. He can draw up any scheme, any play, any type of misdirection, counter. I mean, he's just incredible, man. But the way he coached, for me, it worked well. He was just, if you weren't playing well or if you were playing soft, he would tell you, and he would put it pretty explicitly most of the time. And for me, that was cool. I responded well to that. Some players do, some players don't. But Coach King had a way about him, and either you bought in or you didn't, like most coaches do. It just looks different. But Coach King was just good at motivating people, and just getting people to play hard. And honestly, sometimes he scared us into playing hard and winning games.
Oh, I bet.
He did. He really, really did.
I bet he could be an intimidating guy.
Yeah, but I'm grateful for it. I wouldn't trade it for anything. He was great, man. I have nothing but respect for him, and wouldn't trade my time with him for anything.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, so after you hit this big shot, you are thinking you're going to not Lipscomb, but
Stetson University. Yes, sir.
Okay. So walk me through what happened there and how that whole situation played out.
So I committed to Stetson, where Casey Alexander was at the time, on August 10th of 2012. And so, that's obviously first day of senior year, the whole
So you don't remember that date or anything?
Yeah, August 10th.
August 10th, 2012.
So, my whole senior year, I'm thinking, I'm excited. I'm like, I'm going down to Florida to play college basketball. I can't wait. So, as an 18-year-old kid, you're gearing up for this whole thing. Your excitement's building up. And a couple weeks before graduation, Casey calls my dad and tells him that he has taken a Lipscomb job. Well, like I said, my dad played at Belmont. I grew up a Belmont fan. I've been brainwashed to hate Lipscomb at this point. So I'm sitting there like, first of all, I'm crying. Like I'm upset. I'm really upset.
I'm sure.
Um, and I remember I was up in my room beside myself and my mom, and my mom walks in, and she was like, Asa, like, are you sure you don't want to go to Lipscomb? And I said, Mom, hell no. And that's the only time I've like ever said anything like that to my mom. And
I was about to say, your mom's such a sweet woman. How could you
I
talk
know.
like that in front
Sorry,
of her?
Mom. But so anyway, so it after some talking, I was still I was hurt. I really was.
Mm-hmm.
This had nothing to do with Casey whatsoever, but I was hurt about it. And so, now 2 weeks before graduation, I don't really know where I'm going to school anymore. So I decided to go to a Hargrave Military Academy in Chatham, Virginia, play for the post-grad program. And yeah, so I made that decision in, early June or something, and headed out that way in August. And that turned out to be a great thing. If you want me to get into that a little bit and what that was like, or if you got a question about it, I can feed off that. But ended up going to Hargrave Military Academy for a year, and then ended up back home at Lipscomb. I just thought that was the best thing for me. And yeah.
So we went to Hargrave.
Mhm.
So, Asa, were we a cadet there?
Yeah.
And we're gonna show your picture right now. So I mean, wow, you look great in that outfit. And anyway, so tell me a little bit about being a cadet.
Yeah, so it's a military school, and there are some post grad schools that are, you can kind of skate by and kind of get away with not really having to do everything. But that wasn't the case at Hargrave. Even if you were a post grad basketball player, you were up at 6 a.m. every morning, outside, dressed in uniform by 6:15 in formation, marching to breakfast, lunch, and dinner. For the first 3 weeks you were there, you had no phones, 2 workouts a day. On top of some PT with the rest of the student body, with the rest of the cadets, excuse me. But it was one of those things, man, where it literally was what you made of it. If you wanted to sit there and be miserable and cry and whine about how crappy it was, then it was going to be crappy and it was not going to be fun and you weren't going to get anything out of it. Or you could try to find ways to have fun with it. I ended up being a platoon sergeant towards the end of it, which was
Awesome.
pretty cool. I still got the uniform to this day. I wear it every Halloween. It's like my only Halloween costume.
Oh, buddy, we just showed the picture, so it's I think they've seen it now. But I have a question because you gave
Yeah.
such a important lesson to the people out there right now. Is you said a lot of people had the choice basically, and it's everybody basically has a choice in life and whatever they're doing, and whether it's in coaching or playing basketball or like I said, but it's how you go about it, it's how you act.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to affirm the fact that I didn't even know you were a platoon sergeant. That's the first time that I've heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
But doesn't it give you a kind of perspective on what the servicemen and women do for our country?
Yeah,
Because
certainly.
you got to live a little part of it.
Well,
So I'm interested to like, wow, is that? I mean, is they're living a different life, or just give me a little insight on that.
Well, first of all, it is on an incredibly smaller scale. I didn't do anything close to what our troops do. So they deserve all of the respect.
For sure. I'm excuse me. Let me rephrase this. When I'm talking about from a discipline perspective, because I feel like it's so easy for us to whine and complain in doing anything. And especially like as college basketball players, I mean, you've been a part of it. Our locker room, although we had the life, we're still complaining about this, that, our jersey isn't washed on time, this, you know what I mean? So what I'm trying to say is like the fact that it taught you, I feel like you have this like certain amount of discipline now being there. And so like a respect for the Army, Navy, any military branch in general because of that.
Yeah. Well, I guess the big thing is that it was so regimented. Like I said, waking up at 6 a.m. every day, having to be dressed in 15 minutes. Some days that was a tie and a button-down shirt and a belt and slacks and dress shoes. Sometimes it was the combat uniform. But the amount of discipline that those people go through, but also, I mean, take it outside of the military, that the amount of discipline that needs to be practiced in order to be successful and perform at a high level, it kind of lays that foundation for you. I mean, we had to make our beds every morning, even down to the crease in the sheet. Like if that wasn't right, then you got in trouble for that. So really the important thing about it, and the whole reason that it is the way it is at Hargrave and other military schools as well, is that it lays a foundation for you to have discipline in other areas of your life, whether that's exercising, socially, whatever that may be. It lays a good foundation for you, and I do think that it's a good thing. Some people need to practice it more than others. Some people don't. But
For sure.
While even if you're in even if you're in a situation where you're at a military school or something that's as strict and as regimented as that, it can be a good thing for anybody, whether you think you need it or not. Yeah, and it certainly was a benefit to me. I don't have any regrets of going there whatsoever. I met some lifelong friends there, some lifelong coaches that I still keep in contact with. But it was a cool thing, man. It really was. And I genuinely believe that I appreciate it so much because I had the right attitude going in and coming out of it.
That's awesome, man. And you mentioned something that I'm going to get into a little bit. You said that they made you make your bed. So when Coach Sean Rutigliano gave us the book, Make Your Bed, you were already prepared for this. You're like, I've done this, but also knowing that I've lived with you for 4 years.
Yeah.
You didn't make your bed every day.
No.
But you did have a lot of discipline in other areas. So yeah. Anyway, I wanted to throw that out there for the viewers, and maybe Coach R is listening right now and maybe he can appreciate that. But anyway, so you finished your grad year at Hargrave. You had a good year at Hargrave, and then you decide, okay, where am I going to college? So walk me through that process.
At that point, I had been away from Nashville for, about 7-8 months. And I wasn't the kid that was really ready to get out of Nashville. I appreciated Nashville. I always have, and I knew it was home. And just after the whole Hargrave thing, and that year coming to an end, trying to figure out exactly what I needed to do, talk to the family. Casey was still willing to let me come on and be a part of the program at Lipscomb. And I had the longest standing relationship with Casey. I'd been in contact with him for a while at that point. He and my dad had a connection going back to their Belmont days. They didn't play on the same team, but just, same program. And it was just a comfortable fit. Being comfortable with Casey, I needed a family type environment, and Casey and Coach Edstrom and Coach Draven, and then Coach R came along, and I remember Coach Evans was there the first year. Shout out to AJ.
Shout out to that boy, AJ.
He just got married, by the way.
Yes, he did. Miss Hannah.
It was just, it just felt like the right thing to do. Close to home, be around family, at the school, and close to family. Family only lived 10-15 minutes away. So it just felt like the right thing to do.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I didn't know you were done. You ended abruptly. Sorry. Anyway, but that's awesome, man. So you got there. So from that point, moving through your career at Lipscomb, walk me through it, because it was a whirlwind. Walk me through.
Well, let me start it this way. Overall, from year 1 to year 4, I'm going to say it went great, because it ended as well as it possibly could have ended, team-wise and program-wise. Freshman year for me was probably like a lot of, unless you had just an incredible freshman year basketball wise, it was, a lot of people get in there, they struggle. They have trouble either picking up the offense, picking up the speed, adjusting to the speed, the strength of the upperclassmen. So it was a struggle. So freshman year, up and down. Sophomore year, I wanted to have a better season. Sophomore year did not really go well. I wasn't playing a lot, wasn't getting the minutes I wanted, or felt like I worked for. But even when that's happening, at that point you have to focus on other people. You have to be a good teammate. Otherwise you're going to be completely miserable. In sophomore year, it was transitioning still from, we had some of Casey's new kids to, there were still some of Sanderson's kids that have been there before Casey. But you could feel things kind of coming together, I feel like, our sophomore year. Junior year comes, and so on the court for me personally, sophomore year was not great. It just wasn't. Junior year comes around, and I tear my ACL in October of 2016, and so I'm out. I'm out for the whole year. Got to cheer you guys on. Again, back to my point about focusing on others. I could sit there and feel sorry for myself all day long, but it's not gonna speed up the healing process. It's not gonna change my circumstances in that moment. So man, just really trying to be as positive of a teammate as I can possibly be, standing up, cheering, trying to be vocal. I'm a big talker. I think that if you're on the basketball court and you're not talking, then you're really not on the basketball court. So that was junior year. So I rehab, try to come back senior year. I'm healthy. I'm still wearing the brace. Finally get out of the brace, and then games start, and I'm still not playing a lot whatsoever. Missing most games. Not seeing the court at all. Still trying to have the same positive attitude. Then about early on in the conference season, I tear my other ACL. Same spot on the court. Almost same exact scenario both times. Same exact spot on the court, like I said, which is kind of freaky in my opinion. And it was ACL, MCL, and 2 menisci, as they say, in both knees. So at that point, I'm like, I'm done. I can't come back from this. There's only a month left in the season, so my career is over at this point. At least in terms of playing. So season goes along, coming into the conference tournament, and I'm cheering. I am rooting my butt off. I'm trying to clap. I'm up. I'm standing. I'm yelling. Make it to the conference championship, and we make it in the NCAA tournament. And man, I tell you what, I would tear 4 ACLs again if it meant a trip to the NCAA tournament. Whether I'm playing or not, I don't care. I would rather me not play and us make it than me play and not make it.
I believe you 100% too.
Because it was that special of an experience. It was incredible. I mean, it was the coolest thing I've ever been a part of in my life.
Yeah, it was awesome. Mm-hmm. But all right, we don't have too much longer, but I want to get to this. So after your playing career ended, you decided to take a job not in basketball.
Mm-hmm.
So this goes on for how long did it go on? About 8 months?
Yeah, about 8 months. And then I started working with my dad for another probably five months.
5 months. And then something happens, and I want you to walk me through it. Maybe at a quicker pace, not trying to rush you, but just because we're running out of time here, but I just want you to finish that off.
All right. So it's a Wednesday night in August. I'm sitting down in the hot tub at the apartment complex.
Is this a book? Holy cow. Is this a book?
And I checked I was talking to some people in the hot tub, and they, I was telling them about basketball, and what do you want to do with basketball? Well, I wanted to play as long as I could. That didn't work out. I always wanted to stay around it, be involved in it any way I possibly could. And thought about coaching, not really sure that's the avenue I want to go. College is more of a business. So I get out of the hot tub 5 minutes later, and I have a missed call from my good friend named Josh Lester, who went to Brentwood Academy, played basketball at Belmont under Rick Byrd. He had gotten hired at a school called Cincinnati Christian back in June. And he calls me and says that just that day that the head coach was stepping down. The head coach at the school was also the softball coach. So he didn't want to deal with the burden of having 2 sports. And so Josh calls me and says that the head coach, when he stepped down, named Josh the head coach at 24 years old. So Josh, and I'm thinking, man, he's telling me this. I'm like, dude, and Josh has his master's. Josh is an incredible man out there, for none of y'all that know Josh. He's amazing. And yeah, I'm like, dude, that's awesome, man. You earned this. You worked for it. Like, you're going to kill it. And then he goes, yeah, man, well, I need somebody to come up here and kind of be my right-hand man, be my assistant coach. And he was like, I want you to be my assistant coach. So I'm looking at the phone like, dude, are you sick? Like, me? Seriously, I was like, are you kidding me?
Oh, I know, because you told me about it. I was like, you were like, dude, I don't know how this happened. Like, so why would you call me?
So it was wild, man. So I go to work with my dad the next day, and he says, hey, did Josh call you about something? And and I said, yeah. He said, well, what do you think? I said, I mean, I guess I'm kind of interested. And my dad said, well, listen, if you have any interest at all, go home, change your clothes, drive up to Cincinnati, talk to Josh, and make a decision. So I said, all right, went home about 9 o'clock on a Thursday morning, drove up there, hung out with them Thursday night, talked to the guys, met with some people at the school, and drove back home Friday. And Sunday afternoon, I called my parents and told them I was moving to Cincinnati to be Josh's assistant coach at Cincinnati Christian University. So I move up there September 16th, and the school shuts down on October 28th. So I was literally up there for just under 2 months. So at that point, I'm like, man, I just left everything. I don't have a place at home anymore. I don't know what I'm about to do. Ended up moving back in with my parents in Nashville. Couple weeks later, let me back up real quick. Penny calls me the night that he finds out the school shut down, and Penny's been my big brother for a while, fourth, fifth, sixth grade, and he says, "Look, man," he said, "if you want to come and be I can name you the video coordinator, make you a part of the staff. I can't promise any monetary value at this point, but if I would love for you to come and join our staff and be a part of the program." So I said, all right, I'll do it. And so that's how I got on at Tennessee State. And first year was awesome. It was a great experience. The staff is incredible. It's a laugh factory 24/7. Some awesome basketball minds on the staff, some incredible players, some great guys. And dude, it's been awesome so far. I absolutely love it. And I just, I think we got something special going on. And so we'll see what happens, but it's been fun, man. It's been a wild ride, but it's definitely been worth it thus far. So, we'll see where it takes me.
That's awesome, man. And just for everybody out there, tell everybody a little bit about what you do there, because you have created some really good content. So just a little bit on that and what you've been able to accomplish there.
Well, thank you. But there's always room for improvement. So I'm the video coordinator. I'm try to put together some highlight tapes for the guys after when the season's over. If Penny needs something clipped, if Coach Nick needs something clipped, if Russ needs something clipped, whoever it is, I'll put it together for them. Try to make some videos kind of promoting the program, just try to get a little hype behind it, just to, get our name and image out there, things of that nature. But we've got some good things happening. So it's cool to be able to put them together for the people to see, and not just the people in the program that are there every day, but for people to actually see what's going on and what we're trying to do at Tennessee State. It's cool to be a part of that, especially behind the scenes, and put it together and bring it to life. So yeah, video coordinator, Tennessee State, man. It really is fun.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, Asa, I appreciate you telling your story today, but we're on to our final segment of the day, last minute of advice. So Asa, can you give the viewers one last minute of advice?
Control what you can control. Control what you can control. Because if you worry too much about the things you can't, then
That's good.
It's not going to be, you're going to be miserable, and you're always going to be comparing yourself to something that you shouldn't be. Control what you can control. And I think you'll be a lot better off.
All right, man, I think that's awesome. I am going to say something that you talked about earlier when you said you were not playing as much and you really dove into the team. So I have a quote from Brad Stevens that says, you have a choice to make when you're not playing. Either you're invested in a great teammate or you're not. And it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
That's my advice. You can either be invested and be a great teammate when you're not playing, or you're just not. I mean, it's as simple as that. And I think too many times we think of the short-term value of playing and what that leaves for people in the long run, when really people remember what type of person you were and what type of teammate you were. So
yeah, and it shows a lot when things don't go your way, when things are out of your control. I mean, it shows a lot if you're able to try to lift up others and just and be a positive teammate, because nobody wants to be around somebody that's just miserable all the time and whining about things not going their way. Nothing good ever happens in terms of a team when that's the case.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you, brother. But anyway, Asa, I appreciate you telling your story. For you guys out there, we would love for you guys to follow us along on Twitter. It's Mind of a Coach. You guys could also follow us along our individual pages at Ace of Spades, if I'm not mistaken.
At the Ace of Spades with a Z on the end.
Oh, get it right. And then Nate5_Moran. Once again, we are also on Mind of a Coach, and we also have an Instagram page as well, which is Mind of a Coach. We really appreciate you guys tuning out this week, and we are looking forward to being back with you guys next week. So anyway, Asa, I love you. I'm excited to start this journey with you.
Absolutely.
And you guys take care and have a great week.
Appreciate it.